Tonight, I'm going to tell you a Cinderella story. Once upon a time...
This is it.
When the trailer dropped for the new Cinderella, I got really excited because it gives me an opportunity to A, talk out of my ass about a movie I haven't seen yet, and B, talk about race in film, a topic near and dear to my heart. This Cinderella stars Camila Cabello as aspiring dress designer and businesswoman Ella.
Dresses by Ella.
Who, as you might expect, lives under the cruel thumb of her wicked stepmother and stepsisters. You all know how the story goes. A royal ball is thrown for the prince to find him a bride among all the ladies of the land. And Cinderella arrives in style with the help of her fairy godmother, in this version being played by the supremely stylish and elegant Billy Porter.
I am your fabulous godmother.
In the interviews I've seen, there's a lot of talk of changing up the story, updating it in some modern way.
This new Cinderella is going to be amazing for the world. And what Kay Cannon has done, the writer and director, she has flipped it and deconstructed the story to make it resonate with how far we've come with inclusion.
I'm pretty sure I know what they mean. In the trailer, Cinderella is dead set on running her own dressmaking business.
Here's a laugh. This girl fancies herself a businessman.
What I think happens in the film is that she will attend the royal ball in order to show off her dress design to all the big muckety-muck guests.
Where did you get that dress? I designed it.
And then she meets, and perhaps even falls in love with, the prince.
Hi. Would you like to dance?
From there, I'm pretty sure there will be some push and pull between being a princess and being a businesswoman, and she will ultimately choose the latter.
I pick you to be my princess.
What about my work?
Something like that, I think, is what they're going for. And that's great. It's not really very interesting, but frankly, anything that's anti-royal, anti-aristocracy, I'm certainly for. But I'm not in love with the idea that Cinderella dreams of labor.
What about my work?
I mean, couldn't she still make dresses in the comfort of a palace? It's a little too capitalist for my blood. But I am interested in the casting of Cabello as Cinderella, the first Latina Cinderella, if you ignore Selena Gomez in Another Cinderella Story, and Sofia Carson in A Cinderella Story If the Shoe Fits, or Danya Ramirez in Season 7 of Once Upon a Time. But Cabello is the first Latina Cinderella named Cinderella in a feature film, so that's something. I don't know why there isn't that much buzz about this new Cinderella. Even I'm only halfway interested. Having a woman of color lead a big film is always a big deal. A black and gay fairy godmother, that's awesome. And I can see from the trailer that there was an effort made to have a multicultural cast of background actors and dancers, and that's a bigger deal than you might think.
I'm really happy that we're at a point now in culture where Aladdin or The Little Mermaid, little girls can see themselves being represented. And I think that is so important, and it's about time.
But the main cast, it's still very white. And honestly, Cabello's ethnicity seems irrelevant to the character. I mean, let's be real. She is a fair-skinned woman who would probably have no problem playing an explicitly white character. I'm not trying to suggest that that makes her any less of a Latina, but I am saying that it wasn't exactly a risky casting decision. I guess I'm disappointed because it seems like, as far as minority representation on film goes, we've barely made any progress in my lifetime. Yeah, maybe that's an overstatement. But when we compare this Cinderella to the one from 1997, it only feels like we've gone backwards.
Once upon a time, in 1957, the legendary team of Rodgers and Hammerstein wrote a brilliant musical score for the classic tale Cinderella. This live broadcast starred Julie Andrews. In 1965, Leslie Ann Warren starred in an all-new production, which quickly became a television classic. And now Disney has updated it for a whole new generation.
In the early 90s, Whitney Houston pitched the idea of a new adaptation of the musical with herself in the title role. It would take a few years for the project to come together, at which point Houston felt that she would be better fit for the role of the fairy godmother. In her place, she handpicked the 18-year-old Brandy to star as what history will remember as the first Black Cinderella. Just like Cabello, Brandy recognized how big a deal that was.
I mean, it put me in a position to be a vessel, to be an inspiration for for everyone, and especially girls that look like me, you know, that never dreamt that they could be a Disney princess, you know, and that is something that I'm so proud of, and that's something I can look back on and go, wow, that's unbelievable, and I can share that with my daughter. Like, we're gonna watch.
But unlike this year's Cinderella, the film would have a far more diverse cast.
I like this project because it consisted of a rainbow cast of people, Asian Americans, African Americans, Caucasian Americans, and you know, it's never been done that way before.
The production took a so-called race-blind approach, leading to situations like Brandy's wicked stepmother, played by Bernadette Peters, having two daughters, one played by a white actress and one played by a black actress.
How can a mother choose between two such extraordinary daughters?
Similarly, the white king and black queen, Victor Garber and Whoopi Goldberg, together have an Asian son, Paolo Montalban.
I just want to say for the record that to all the people who are wondering how an African-American mother and a Caucasian father can have an Asian son, the math, the genetic math is love plus love equals love.
That's right.
That's what it felt like.
The term race-blind casting is a misnomer, because the production was clearly hyper-aware of the races of the actors they were casting. But by specifically developing a multicultural cast, race no longer becomes important. The characters, they're just people. I have a multicultural background. I have a white father and a half-black mother, but virtually no one can tell that I'm a quarter black. Being a white passing person has led to a little bit of an identity crisis. In America, I look white, therefore I am not black. It's a complicated issue, one that I still haven't quite sorted out. But watching a movie like Cinderella makes me feel comfortable. In our world, your race, your ethnicity, it's one of the first ways people see you, how they identify you. But in this world, it's a non-issue. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. The actors aren't all gray. But in this world, it isn't some defining feature, and that feels good. That leads me to a strange, but I think interesting question. It might sound stupid at first, and it might in fact just be stupid, but follow me here. In the 1997 Cinderella starring Brandy, is the character of Cinderella black? In this new 2021 Cinderella, is Cabello's character Latina? Brandy the woman is certainly black. Cabello is Latina, undeniably. But are the characters they are playing people of color? A more direct question. Can we assume qualities of a character based on the qualities of the actors playing those characters? If we, as an audience, are never given any indication of a character's ethnicity, must we take it for granted that they share the same ethnicity as their actor? Maybe I'm splitting hairs here, but no, I don't think they are. And I think the reason people automatically assume they are is because we assume that a movie has to follow the same rules as our reality, and much of the time, films do conform more or less to our reality. But if ethnicity is not an inherent part of the character, then I'm not convinced it exists at all, diegetically, within the world of the film. Of course, for those little girls watching the black and brown princesses on screen, the diegetic reality doesn't matter. They're seeing, as Brandy and Cabello are very aware of, people who look like themselves. And that matters. That's important. But there is a difference between a black character and a character played by a black actor. Brandy's Cinderella is the latter. Contrast her with Cindy.
Once upon a time in a faraway country, there lived a young girl whose name was Cinderella. This is a ripoff of that story.
Talk about obscure. Cindy is a nearly completely forgotten TV musical from 1978, starring Charlayne Woodard in an all-black retelling of Cinderella set in 1940s Harlem. It's kind of a hidden gem.
Well, your stepmama, she gonna want to make herself look just right before she meets you. You gonna love her.
Why is she like that?
Well, let's see. Now, how do I describe her? A cactus. You know, it got thorns all on the outside, but when you get inside, it's soft and smooth and sweet as a sugar bee.
Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping your stepmama's like that.
Cindy is a young woman who has moved from South Carolina to live with her father in New York, along with his new wife and stepdaughters.
Hello, girls.
Hi, John. Hello.
The only problem is, her father didn't tell his new family that he had a daughter.
What is it you want to talk to me about?
Oh, a few things that I should have talked to you about when we was courting.
Mm-hmm.
I was married before.
You was married before?
Just relax, Sarah, because there's more. I have a grown daughter.
You?
And there's more. She's downstairs.
What?
There's more. It's because I told her she could come live with us.
You have another person you expect to live here with us?
And the family's already struggling, so the last thing they need is another mouth to feed. So Cindy finds herself entering this unfamiliar world where she is completely unwanted, resented, if not completely hated, by her new stepfamily, and has only a weak, browbeaten father to support her. It's really funny, I promise.
As I was saying to the President of the United States just yesterday when he was pinning this big one on me, the gold one with the yellow and purple ribbon on it, as I said, Mr. President, I'm just an ordinary guy who happened to be in the right place at the right time to save 186 of my buddies' lives single-handedly. But it sure is good to be back home.
What really sets Cindy apart from Brandy's Cinderella is how explicitly black it is. Much of the comedy is poking fun at the differences between Southern black culture and Northern black culture, something that couldn't be done if we were all pretending race doesn't exist in the way Brandy's Cinderella does.
I forgot to tell you now, you don't worship up here like you do back home. Well, they do it with more dignity. See, this ain't no Baptist church up here. You're an Episcopalian now. You don't pray up here like you did back home. Well, you can enjoy it. You know, and no hallelujahs or glory bees and amen only if they ask you.
So as much as I loved the race-blind casting decision in that film, and that was perhaps the most progressive move to make in 1997, I think today we need to look back to a film like Cindy, a film that embraced having a person of color in the lead role, as well as every other role, and celebrated the character's culture instead of ignoring it altogether. Moving back to this year's Cinderella, I think that what's even more interesting than Cabello's casting is Billy Porter's. Black fairy godmothers are certainly not new, but male fairy godmothers? Or more accurately, genderless fairy godmothers, as Billy Porter said he was playing the character.
You know, I approached this role with no gender. She, he, it, they, them, these, ain't no gender. Magic has no gender.
That is truly breaking new ground. This character is something of a risk for the film to take. Anyone who's seen any red carpet that Billy Porter has been a part of won't be surprised to see the actor wearing a dress in the film.
I'm a man in a dress, and if I feel like wearing a dress, I'm gonna wear one.
But I'm sure it will make some sort of stir among conservative parents. And I hope that, just like Brandy and Cabello, he too is an inspiration to children. Films involving gender identity will only become more common in the future. And I predict we will see more and more films with the topic aimed at children. Just last year we had Soul, featuring a genderless spirit with the voice of Tina Fey. I really hope that Billy Porter's fairy godmother, or Fab G, as he's credited on IMDb, turns some heads, makes a statement. Because if you aren't going to do something new, something different, something relevant, with a tale told as many times as Cinderella, what's the point?